everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are ranking some of my top fantasy villains. So we're going to start with the least evil and work our way to what I think is the most evil villain in fantasy. So here we go. So many books, they're gonna fall over. Okay, here we go. Starting with my first pick, and that is going to be Eli from Vicious by V.E. Schwab. So if you've read this book, you know that Victor and Eli are two of our main characters, both searching for a way to obtain superpowers through near-death experiences. And when Eli and Victor actually finally obtain these powers, something goes horribly wrong and they go from being best friends to mortal enemies. So Eli is a really, really gray character, and that's what I love about this book in particular, is how gray both our protagonist and our antagonist, Eli, really are. They think that they're doing the right thing in their own head. They identify themselves as their own heroes. Victor a little less than Eli. So even though Eli is our villain, I love that he doesn't see himself that way. And that's what makes him so dangerous. He feels so righteous in what he's doing. And I just love it. So Eli is definitely, I think, probably the least evil, even though he's evil, don't get me wrong. But I just really enjoyed following his character. Next villain that I have, so we're getting a little bit more evil now, and that's going to be the Darkling from the Grisha trilogy. I can't do a villains video without the Darkling in it somewhere. I loved the Darkling, and he just gets progressively worse and worse as the series goes on. But I mean, especially in this first book, he was so intriguing, and I just love how you like root for him, but he's clearly the villain, like a villain that you really, really like can in a way understand, but you still know that they're in the wrong, is like my favorite. And it's just, I love the morally gray characters, and I love how unpredictable they can be, because you never know what their limits are or what their next move is going to be. So the Darkling for me, just, I absolutely loved him. And I mean, I'm so excited for the TV show. Did you see the casting for it? Holy moly. So love the Darkling. The next villain that I have is a very, very nostalgic one, and that is going to be Count Olaf from A Series of Unfortunate Events. He is so evil. I reread this whole series as an adult, and you don't really realize like how evil and like messed up Count Olaf really is. Like, he's like preying on these children and like killing people all around them just for their money. And it's like, so Count Olaf is definitely deserving of being on this list as one of the top fantasy villains. Even though he has these like comedic moments, I think he's still very much evil and definitely deserves to be on this list. So Count Olaf. All right, now we're getting into like really evil territory here. And that's going to begin with, you know what? I was going to talk about the villain in Chaos Walking, and then I realized it might be a spoiler. So I'm actually not going to talk about this villain, even though I'd really, really like to, as one of my top villains in fantasy, because this villain definitely deserves to be on the list. But if you've read this series and you know who I'm talking about, just know that he makes this list. And the next villain that I can actually talk about now, because everyone knows who this character is, they're not trying to fool anybody, and that is Cersei from Game of Thrones. And I picked out Cersei from this book because I know that there's several other characters that I could have put in this, like Joffrey and Ramsay, who are just pure evil. Like, there is absolutely nothing redeemable about them. They're the most horrendous human beings alive. Well, in fiction. But I picked Cersei because I think she's a little more interesting as a character, because again, I like villains that you can somewhat sympathize with and like kind of understand where they're coming from, like not just pure psychos. So I actually really love Cersei because I like every time she's in a scene, you do not know what she's going to do. She's very unpredictable. She's brilliant. She's this suppressed kind of woman in this society that's led by men, and she's trying to work the system to get all of this power. And it's just so fascinating. And I really, really liked Cersei as a villain in this story more than I liked Joffrey and Ramsay, only because I just found her so much more fascinating and unpredictable. And I was just on the edge of my seat every time she had a scene. So, Cersei from Game of Thrones. Okay, these last two are the worst. And that's going to be, I'm going to see if you could guess, based on the book I'm holding up, Professor Umbridge from Harry Potter. Oh my god, like, Umbridge, can we all agree that Umbridge is so much worse than Voldemort? Like, at least with Voldemort, like, you know, like, he's a big baddie, like, he wants power for the sake of having power, he's just, like, evil. But Umbridge, she's, like, psychotic. Like, she thinks that she's good, and she's terrifying. And, she just really, really, like, I think it's always such an accomplishment when an author can make you feel such a passionate hate for a character. And that's why I prefer, like, Umbridge as a villain over Voldemort, because I, like, have this passionate hate. And I think that that's incredible that an author can elicit such a strong emotion from a character like this, especially since she wasn't even like one of the main characters through the whole series. She was really just in these last couple books and for not very long. So the fact that she made such an impression with so many people, and I just have such strong emotions towards her, that's incredible. Like, she deserves to be on this list. She's the worst. So, yeah. And then the last character I have is, I can't believe I have one that's even more evil than Umbridge, but I do. And if you have read the book Outlander, you know exactly who I am talking about. I do not know more evil than Jonathan Randall. Oh my god. He is the scariest villain, and he definitely takes the cake over Umbridge. And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to like spoil anything in the book, but just know that his scenes that he is in are so graphic and so disturbing and disgusting, and like what he does, like, again, I can't say like I like him as a villain. Like, I like some of these other villains, but this one, like, he is the worst I've ever read, ever. I mean, he's the worst. And again, like, I think that makes him, it's so hard because it's like the best villains, like, that implies that I like these villains, but I don't think that makes a best villain. I think if you can evoke a strong emotion towards a character, whether that's hate or fear. I think that that is what encompasses like a great villain in a book, is like you fear them being on the page. You are so afraid of discovering their limits and seeing what they're gonna do next. Sometimes it's fun, right? With Eli and with Cersei, it's like fun to see what they have to do next because it's like, it's not disturbing. So Jonathan Randall takes the cake because it's disturbing. But I still think that he's a great villain because of that. So I don't like him, I hate him, but he's a good villain. So that is my list of the best fantasy villains that I've read about so far. I know I have a lot more reading to do, so I'm excited to see if any of the upcoming books that I'm reading in the fantasy genre have some villains that overtake maybe some of these characters that are on this list right now. So we'll see. Who are some of your favorite villains? Make sure that if you comment down below, it's not any spoilers like I almost revealed with Chaos Walking. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, bye.